evening, a very legendary wrestling promoter. So, Rowan, please take it away.
Thank you, Stevie. This is a huge honor for me personally. We have on the line with us a legend in Canadian wrestling. He is a former professional wrestler. He was a promoter. He is a fixture of sports, not only in Winnipeg, but all in Western Canada. Tony Condello. Tony, thank you very much for coming on the show. How are you tonight?
Very good, sir, and it's my pleasure for, it's an honor asking me to be on your show, really.
Well, you were basically one of the main, one of the I guess, so you'll have to excuse me for just a second here. You were basically the hub for professional wrestling in the province of Manitoba for many, many years. A lot of people a lot of our listeners in Western Canada have no doubt been to some of your shows. I've personally been to many of your shows. And last summer, there was a production company that decided that they wanted to make a documentary film on the life of Tony Condello. And my first question is to you is, how did you come about getting in touch with them? Did they get in touch with you, or how did the documentary come about?
Actually, they called me and they told me about this documentary that they want to make, and I asked them what it's all about, and they gave me details and a couple of dollars they gave me and so forth. And I said, okay, fine, and they did. It took them a couple of years to do it, but it was MTS Cable, actually, the people that asked me. They did who shot the production was Image Production, I believe, and there it is. It's an hour program.
And before we go any further, I just did want to give a shout out to my new longtime close personal friend Don Windsor from Image Productions, who helped get me a copy of the documentary. It was a fabulous piece of work. And so shout out to Don and Image Productions. So if anyone has any video or print media they need done, give Don a call or send Don an email at don@imageproductions.tv. So what was basically...
They did a very good job out of that. A guy named Terry actually shot it through Image Production. Forgot his last name. And actually what happened is after they shot it, and Kerry entered the film, the documentary to Vancouver Film Festival, and out of 30 countries that they entered their documentary, we got first prize. Unbelievable.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, got first prize.
So what sort of films were you guys competing against? Were they all sports-based, or was it just all types of different documentaries?
All kinds of different documentaries from 30 different countries. And when I got the notice that they choose that one, and I figured it's incredible. We got an award of excellent type of trophy, whatever. Right.
So when Don contacted you, he must have been a wrestling fan.
Well, I dealt with Don Windsor many years ago, taping my wrestling shows for CKY Television, and I knew him, and I guess he was known through Winnipeg and MTS. He dealt with MTS, and they asked me to do it, and we did it.
Okay. What was the time frame, basically, from the time that you started to the time of the premiere?
I think it was about a couple of years. So they shot this, pieces here and pieces there. They followed me. If you remember the documentary, we flew into a place called Deer Lake, and Terry was with us filming, and they used some of my footage that I still have in my possession. Got over 300 hours of taping in my possession, which WWE is interested in maybe buying them to use on their show, whatever. We're dealing with that now. And they even got a call from the Fight Network that they're interested. So actually, those days they were shot in 3/4 and beta, and they're 95% still good. Unbelievable. Because I had them in a cool place, right?
Well, Uncle Vince is in the habit of buying up tape libraries, so those might be worth a lot. Now, I seem to recall, like, about 10 years ago, they did a Jericho DVD or a Jericho documentary, and they used some footage from...
Yeah, well, that was a no-no. That was a no-no because Vince McMahon used my footage without my permission. And they asked me to sue him and so forth, but how the hell are you going to... I could have got money out of them, but I said, you know what, forget it. You know what I'm saying? They used the footage. Yeah, well, that's my taping.
So now, what a
But
lot of people,
if I would have used some of their footage, for my TV show, right? What would happen? They sue the
I
crap
think
out of me, right?
you would
Yeah.
have had a visit from Mr. McDivitt, I believe.
There you go. But anyway,
So
not a
now,
big deal.
what a lot of people now, if you get a chance to see the documentary, a lot of people might not realize that Tony was responsible for launching the career of a lot of major stars that came through this territory.
Well,
Chris Jericho,
the
Lance Storm.
the story goes back in 1972 when I opened up the first North America school to be a professional wrestler. So in 1973, I created a guy named Roddy Piper, and
I've heard of him.
was with me. Yeah. Well, anyway, he was with me for a couple of years, and and then he went to the States and he became a big superstar. And he was the first one actually to hit the big screen, right? But of all that things that he did and whatever, right? But the only thing I got to give to let's call him a kid anyway. He said he was 17 when he was with me, right? He told me that he wants to wrestle for a big firm and he wanted to be a movie star, and he did it all. He did it all.
He did.
Then of course, another 4 or 5 guys, they had a good shot at the big times, but what happened, they screw up with the promoters and they're out. But one of the most incredible guys that I ever had in my show was Edge and Christian and Rhino. Those are the guys that worked hard and they listened to me and blah, blah, blah. And I told them, you got a lot of talent. One of these days you're going to hit. Well, with Christian and Edge, I was told what to do from the office from Vince McMahon, right? Just give these 2 kids a lot of work and put them through hell. No favors for them because they had ideas for them. But they did not know that, but I knew, right? And they did it all. When we were in summer reserve somewhere, I said, hey, listen, guys, if you're bum and set up the ring and take it down, whatever I told them to do, they did it. And one day we were up north somewhere in Ontario somewhere, and Edge called us home, and that's when you got the call. You see this guy jump in the air, right? And we had Chris Jericho. We had a local guy, the Natural, Don Callis, which he had a big break. But, sometime, even though you get booked with the big boys, the things don't work out, and you're out. It's too bad because of Edge broke his neck a couple of times. He had to get out of the business. But Chris is still going and so forth. But, Edge, he's making movies now. Actually, he's got a program going on television called Heaven. It's an LFX. So, they did very well. Very well.
Yeah, and another real big star that I think, got his first exposure in North America was the Ultimo Dragon. What was it like dealing with him as far as perhaps like the language barrier or, because he obviously had handlers in Japan and how did you get to work with him?
Well, Ultimo Dragon, we booked him from Japan and where he was at that time, and this guy was an incredible wrestler to start with. He knew exactly what to do in that ring. He didn't have to tell him anything, really. And the best part, when I gave him his PO, his check, he bowed to me. I said, what the hell is this guy doing? But that's their way of doing things. Eh? He bows his head. So I bowed back, you know what I'm saying? And that's the respect this guy has, you know what I'm saying? But he was a fantastic wrestler. One of the best.
Okay. I'm gonna revert over to my co-host Stevie. What do you have?
Well, Mr. Condello, I first again want to thank you for being on the show, and second, I want to say that your name comes up so frequently when other wrestlers from Canada are on this show or interviewed on other shows that we listen to, and they all say the same thing about working with you. It's a rite of passage when you go on a death tour to either make or break you, whether you want to be a wrestler in this business. So for those who don't know the intricacies of a death tour, why don't you explain to them how it got that nickname?
Well, every time I do this death tour, I still do that today. And the reason for it is still going back there. Back in 1973, I met a gentleman He became Grand Chief of Canada, Phil Fontaine, right? Actually, he's the guy that introduced me on this Norton tour, and he told me, when you go there, tell him, leave a message behind to the kids, stay away from drugs, alcohol, and all that stuff, right? And I kept my word up to date, and as long as I can, I still do it today. Well, the way they got the name Dead Tour is after traveling on those winter roads for, believe me, if you don't know where you're going or what you're doing on those winter roads, you'll never come out of it. And you end up in some bush there, who's going to find you? You know what I'm saying? So I learned all that. I even learned how to travel on ice on the frozen lakes. Certain things you have to look at the frozen lake. If it's too dark, don't go there because you're going to go under, believe me. If it's clear, nice and clear, it's safe, right? It's crystallized, right? But anyway, after traveling 20 hours to get there, back in the 70s, used to take to travel, let's say, 125 clicks. It took us 18 hours because you couldn't move. You were going about 2-3 clicks an hour, right? But today is a different story. They have a better roads and all that stuff. Anyway, the way they got the Dead Tour is when we got to a certain reserve and somebody passed away, everything is canceled out. Everything is closed. So after traveling 20 hours, we get there and the chief and council told me, Tony, I'm sorry, but this, what happened, somebody passed away and you're canceled out. So I had to stay there for a couple of days in the reserve there, watching television, whatever we did. And it doesn't only happen once, but many, many times on a 2-week tour. So the boys, I think it was Edge or somebody, called this a death tour. That's when that word came about. I believe that's exactly what it means, right? But and sometimes, some people die up there, right? It's very dangerous.
Right, and when you're going to these small towns where there's like one rec center and one event center, if somebody dies, that's the whole town's life. Is that rec center where you were going to hold the wrestling show is closed.
Everything is closed. All activities in the reserve is closed until they send the body back to Winnipeg, right? And until it's about a week. They closed everything about a week in Morin, right? Yeah, you got to respect that. That's the way it is, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way of doing things, right?
So right. in the meantime, you're stuck up north with, and you guys aren't staying in hotels. You guys are sleeping on gym floors with the pretty blue mats.
Exactly. They haven't got, and if they do have, a cottage or something, and they suck at you maybe $200 per person per night, and so you got is a little teeny bed, you know what I'm saying, and can barely fit. So the best way of doing things when I go there, I stay inside the school with the mats. But you know what? That's the best place to be because of the schools. You gotta get permission from chief and council and the school board. The school has everything. It's got the kitchen. We can cook. They got the shower. You know what I'm saying? It's warm. Mm-hmm. What more do you want? It's like a 5-star hotel, but you got to sleep on the floor.
Well, and just like Steve said, we've had anytime any workers basically go on any interviews that I've ever heard, they talk about these death tours, and they just proclaim that it's done so much for their career, it's built so much character in them, and they owe a certain level of gratitude to what was conceivably the worst conditions that they've ever worked in. So you should take some pride in that.
Yeah, of course. Anybody that can come through with my dead tours, and I believe they can wrestle anywhere. Of course, they got to have the talent to start with. I had some guys in up north, and all of a sudden they're missing. You have to phone the RCMP to look for these guys. They never told anything what they're going to do. But they flew back themselves and took off out of there because they could not take it.
Wow.
So this is not a fun. It's not a fun trip. It's an attitude adjustment. Remember a guy, Scott Norton?
Oh yeah.
Scott Norton was with me up there once through Ken Patura. Says, Tony, tune up this guy because in 2 weeks' time he's going to get booked in Japan. Well, when we went across the frozen water, sometime there's water shooting out of the lake because what's happening is that they keep freezing the lake so the ice gets thicker, right? So for a greenhorn that first time that comes with me up north, And I stopped the van, for example, and I said, gentlemen, I don't know what we're going to do here. The lake just broke open. We cannot go back. We can't go forward. We're going to sink. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, as a joke, this Scott Norton, believe me, as big as he was, I broke the guy down. And he started to cry. He started to cry like a little baby. He's saying he's praying and he's saying goodbye. He's saying goodbye to his family. Believe this or not, but it's a fact.
That's fantastic.
And of course, at the end, I could not tell him it was a joke. I was going to break my back, right? So I let him believe what he wanted to believe, right?
Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing where you wait until after he's worked the tour and then gone to Japan and then give him a phone call. Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the wrestlers.
The best guy I had up there was Baron Vorosky, the Clowmaster, right? This guy was a soldier. I remember one week traveling, we broke down. Melton never went in the car or whatever, and we were stuck. We were stuck there for a day and a half until we flew in a piece from one reserve to continue the trip. And the Baron, I'll tell you, I had an axe, a saw, whatever. He went inside the bush. Because everything was frozen inside the car. We had even ice inside the car, right? You know, you take 30 or 40 below. It doesn't take long to get ice inside the car if it's not running. We cut wood, we built a fire in the middle of the lake, and you know what? Until the plane came and away we went. He was a soldier and a half.
And there's no GPS back then, so it's not like you guys pretty much know exactly where you are. Yeah,
I know that. So one of those big trucks, they phoned in, what was it? I forgot the trucks that go up there now, the name of the company. What's the name of the company here in the city? You know, any company? Doesn't matter. Anyway, those big trucks.
Reimer?
No, it wasn't Reimer. It was somebody else. I forgot anyway. But anyway, they helped us out quite a bit. Those guys and those trucks they're fantastic type of people, right? Because if they see somebody in trouble, you know, they stop, eh? But you got to watch them when they're coming to the other side. I'll tell you, those roads, you know, you got to be very, very careful with them because you know they're nice and big, and you know the bigger guy, the small guy's gonna fall down, right? Got to be really, really, really careful. Very dangerous.
Now, aside from the road construction that's happened up in these northern communities, what's the biggest difference? Because you're still running tours up there. What's the biggest difference doing it now as opposed to 20 years ago?
The difference is the road condition, eh? They improved the roads at least 80% today. Yesterday it was what it was, right? And that is your difference. But you know, the people are the same. Nothing changes on their behalf, but the road conditions are great.
So you're not. Oh, it takes you a lot less time to get up there. Which does that make a lot of the talent more willing to come on these tours?
For some of them, they don't know. I get a lot of calls, even from Japan. Some of the Japanese millionaires over there, the wrestlers, they want to just come down here to see the Northern Lights, and they don't believe that I drive over frozen lakes. Actually, one guy says to me, "You're a god to drive over water." You know what I'm saying? They don't believe that. So they come for curiosity, right? Really.
Right.
And that's where it goes. And some of them, they only made the trip once, and that's about it. Some of them, they keep coming back because they know what it's all about now. But some of them, the majority, they go there once, and there's no way they're going to go back. Guys, they used to, you know, 4-star hotels and red carpets and whatever. There's no red carpets up there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think a lot of workers that go over to Japan, they're treated pretty much like gods over there. So then, going from that to these tours, it's a big culture shock.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So
but,
in the document,
yeah, go ahead.
In the documentary, they do interview a lot of people. Fred Peliquin, who was known here as the French Mad Dog, and as well as now, was there anybody that you would have liked to see get do an interview for the documentary that didn't make it?
Yeah, it was Don Callis, the natural, of course, because he's on that tape quite a bit. He was busy, I guess, or had no time to do it, and I wish he would have been there. And Chris Jericho could not make it. And, you know, I wish Chris would have been on the documentary. Same with Christian and so forth. But they're kind of, you know, too busy with Vince. You know what I'm saying? And for them to do anything, you got to get permission, blah, 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 right? So when Andrew was here, we say the MTS saved a lot of money because, we had to fly in or fly him in or go there where he was to get the interview. But he was here at the car show, at the convention center, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I asked him if he wanted to do it. I said, Tony, yeah, it'd be no pleasure. And he did it. Did a very good job too.